Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Tired and Thriving, a podcast recognizing just how tired and exhausted we all are while discussing ways to still thrive. Whether it's something big like going out for a day trip to sketch nature or something small like drawing that one line that you've been stalling on, we are here to help each other thrive. I'm your host, Samantha Gray, and this week's guest is Kat Stockton. Kat Stockton works in the animation industry as an art director designer, but she's also a teacher and illustrator from Georgia who has worked on shows like Archer and Bird Girl. Recently, she made an amazing coloring book called Dreamscapes that just became available on Amazon. Speaking of which, the holidays are coming up, so it would be a great gift, just saying. Thank you so much for being here with me, Kat.
It's so good to be with you, Sam. It's nice to see you again.
I know, it's so nice. Also, like, if I start giggling, it's because Arthur's trying to get in front of the camera, and I'm like trying to get him not to step on the keyboard.
Mine are going to be trying to get in front of the camera too this whole time. They're already right next to me waiting.
They're waiting for their chance to just be like, we're going to interrupt.
Well, thank you so much for the kind introduction.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm excited to be here. I listened to all the other episodes, and they were really, really great. I feel like I'm going to say the same thing as a couple people because I was in total agreement with them. I was like, oh yeah, gosh, that's right.
Well, let's see if I even like have the same questions, you know. But yeah, let's start off with what was your inspiration and journey into art and animation?
All right, so this is kind of a long story.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I always loved animation since I was a kid, so I was always drawing cartoons. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And when I graduated high school, I applied to all the different art schools. I wanted to be a 2D animator because I had already tried 3D and I didn't like it. I was like, oh, I don't really like working in Maya. It's kind of hard. And I lost a lot of sleep. So I was like, I want to do 2D animation. I want to draw. I ended up going to Atlanta College of Art, which was a small school here in Atlanta. And then Disney announced it was firing all of its 2D animators. Ooh. They were like, animation's dead. It's going to be 3D only. Ooh. This was like 2000-ish.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, crap. Guess I'll do illustration. And then through illustration, I still found myself in animation. You know, Atlanta's like a big town for Cartoon Network and all the old Adult Swim stuff. Mm-hmm. So there were a couple studios in Atlanta, and my professor came up to me and was like, you're the only one I think that is qualified for this. We don't usually let juniors take internships, but this one's kind of made for you. What? And I ended up working in like this little house in East Atlanta with like 4 dudes that made C-Lab 2021. And I was doing lip flaps on this show called Frisky Dingo. So that was my entrance into animation right there. But I went back to school and then years later got hired on Archer.
Wow, that's so cool.
I tried to make it short.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, C-Lab 2021. I love that series.
Yeah, I know. I was like watching it in college anyway, and then I was like, oh, I get to work for them? This will be fun. Yeah.
Wait, was it just the guys or were you actually working on the show?
I was working on the show. It was the pilot for Frisky Dingo.
Oh, yeah.
So I think like one of the actors for C-Lab 2021 had died, and then they ended up just kind of retiring the show after him because that particular actor kind of made it. He was really good. Yeah. And then they started working on Frisky Dingo, and that's when I entered in. So I was doing lip flaps and listening to audio and matching lips to the movements. That was sort of my job while I was there.
It's so interesting how like sometimes, not that I have a similar story, but I feel that sometimes it just comes to you like what your career is going to be. And I find it so interesting when it's something like, oh yeah, I was going to do this, but I'm going to do something else. And then you get the call that's like, hey, you can do this, like come back.
Yeah, I didn't really realize it because, you know, I didn't know the pipeline of animation, you know, coming out of high school. You're sort of like, this is some magic that I want to see how this works. How is this made? You know, didn't really have YouTube at that time either. So
yeah,
it was behind the scenes footage on the DVD extras was where I got my knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
But it did work out that way. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll roll with it.
Was it more like I'm going to roll with it until I can go no further? Or has it been kind of like any kind of stoppage at all?
There's been some stoppage. Animation's just kind of like that, gigs end.
Yeah.
It's time to move on. So like after I did that internship, I was back waiting tables and bartending for about another 2 years. And then I graduated college, and it was 2009. It was just at the recession, the summer of 2009, and I graduated college. And again, it was like, oh crap, what's going on? This is crazy. I was just watching TV with some friends, and we were watching Always Sunny, and this premiere for Archer came on right ahead of it. And I was like, I know these people. I know exactly who did this. And I emailed the head animator, the guy who was head of animation, because he was the only email I had. He was really cool. His name is Matt. And I was like, hey, do you remember me? And he's like, yeah, I remember you. I'm like, I need a job. And so he passed that on to like the executives. And then I came in, took a test, and that was the start of my full career working on Archer season 1.
That's so cool. How long were
I
you
kept
on
wanting
Archer
to,
for?
like 6-7 years, something like that.
Yeah, sorry I cut you off. What were you gonna say? Or like,
I don't know.
Dang. I know. I hate when that happens.
You know, it's really crazy. Like everyone's stories about how they get into the industry are so different and just so, radical to hear, because everyone has a different path. I don't feel like there's any one way to like stair step your way into it.
Oh, for sure. It does suck when it, takes a long time.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see when people stick it out and then they are able to get their foot in the door. But yeah, it's so much luck versus luck meets opportunity, or no, opportunity meets, oh god, I forgot what that saying is. So the phrase I'm trying to say is, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Looks like I got 2 out of the 3 right, and I'll take it as a win.
But you need both luck and you need, oh, my cats are angry. I'm sorry if you heard that. They just had a little slap. They're fighting over the bench next to me.
Oh my gosh.
But you need both, because, one, you need to practice, right? You need to just keep going, keep drawing, keep improving. And then when opportunity presents itself, say yes. Especially at the beginning, because you never know where those opportunities are going to like lead you, no matter what, whether it's in animation, gaming, or just an illustration assignment freelance. Just say yes a lot at the beginning. And then as you get a little bit further on in the industry, you can sort of say no to things, or you'll know what you want, what you're good at.
Were you always into backgrounds?
No, I wanted to be a character designer.
Oh, wow. Did you start character design on Archer, or was that?
No. They saw my Photoshop work, and I wanted to do character design, but I just drew pictures of cool looking characters. Like I didn't really know the intricacies of character design and what people are looking for. But I was really into Photoshop, and they saw that. And they were like, hey, can you work in Photoshop? Come take a test. And that's kind of how I got into background. And then once I was in there, it was no getting out.
You were just too good.
You're just in it. It's a fun, I love working in background, so it's so much fun. And again, it wasn't where I expected to be in animation, but, it's cool. And then, yeah, I like doing it.
That's awesome. What makes you thrive when you work in the animation industry, and in what ways does it make you tired?
So I thrive on the teammates and working with people and solving problems. Like, I love it. I love it when I get to work with a good team and we just put all of our heads together and figure out, like I did with you on our last project. Like,
I'm smiling because that's exactly it was like one of my favorite parts too when we worked together.
Yeah, it's just fun to get everyone in there and figure out a scene between character, backgrounds, and story. Because you have to figure out how everyone's going to move in that space. And it saves a lot of like headache later when you're in those scenes. Now you know where you are, how they're going to work together.
Yeah.
That's the fun part to me. I also like it when I get in there and shows are a bit particularly challenging, or they start to present their challenges. And then there's a lot of puzzle making and figuring out like, how is this going to go together? Or what line weight works best with the characters. And that's also a lot of fun. It can be frustrating, but
yeah.
Once you figure it out, you're good.
I think is really important that you talked about the collaboration of, figuring out what style we had for the backgrounds versus like how that goes with the characters and how story would use it, because sometimes I feel like certain productions don't do that, or the departments don't talk to each other, and it's like such a recipe for disaster.
It really is. I want everyone to talk to each other. Please, everyone, tell us what you're doing, where you're at, what you need.
Yeah.
Ask questions. But yeah, when it's kind of segregated and silent,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's when it's
sometimes
scary.
little issues come up later, and you're like, oh God, I have to redo this thing.
Oh, yeah. Was there like ever a moment where you're just like, this is the worst? Like where that small problem became a huge snowball of a problem and like bit you in the
Oh,
butt.
yeah. Like layer orders.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I wasn't strict about at first, and then when I became really strict about it, it sped up the process a whole lot and kind of standardized something.
Yeah.
So when I didn't do that, it was just a lot more stuff on the back end of things.
File organization, I think, is really underrated, maybe, where I feel like, especially people in the beginning, or if you don't nip it early in the bud, it creates so many problems, not only in the production you're working on, but then in later productions.
Like one thing I like to do is prepare files for the final step. Like that's another part of the process I like to be involved in, because I really like working with comp. They're like one of my favorite departments because that's where the
Mm-hmm.
magic happens. No
Oh,
one
yeah.
realizes it, but comp is magic. um, so I like working with them and standardizing it for them because it makes their communication with me a lot easier. Like they know
Mm-hmm.
what to expect from me. They know what to expect from my department, when and how it's going to happen. So I like to be in control of that aspect as well.
Oh, so recently I had a really great opportunity to talk to an animation artist from Canada. She's like storyboard artist director, which gave a different perspective on the industry outside of Los Angeles. I feel like so many people have our own thoughts about what the industry is. But you are creative in Georgia, and I actually did learn a lot about animation outside of Los Angeles through working with you and the crew at Awesome Inc. What is the animation industry like for you on the other side of the nation?
I mean, it's been pretty great. I don't think we have as many opportunities over here as maybe LA or the bigger cities in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But Atlanta's just been a city that's growing, and it's growing really, really quick. And when I got the job at Archer, that's when they did like this tax break and stuff and got us all over here. And so
Mm-hmm.
the industry has just been booming in Atlanta, and the opportunities are around. There's not that many studios here, it's kind of a handful of them. So a lot of the artists that are in this town sort of rotate, bounce between these handful of places. But I guess since 2020, it's changed, and a lot of people now are working remote for places like LA and, Canada. Like that option is open now, so it's completely changed. But I don't think for the worse. I think it's pretty great. Culturally, it's been fun here. Everyone's super cool and fun to work with. So I really enjoy working with all the different studios and teams around here. And I love it when I get to see a familiar face on another production and work with people again. But also it's cool, we have animation, we have like mural projects going on, and there's a lot of different studios than animation in Atlanta too, like gaming,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of casino work, like casino games are big here. And then also there is like advertising and design and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So because a lot of that is moving through the city, there's just different types of work available. And sometimes I jump around between those different things. Like right now, since we're in sort of a lull because of the writer's strike, I'm working on designs with local agencies and stuff to
Oh,
sort of
wow.
like coast me through
Yeah.
freelance coloring book.
After doing a full day of creative work, is there anything specific you do to wind down?
Yep. In the evenings, I'll go for a jog, sort of get my energy out. And then I like to just sit and doodle in front of the TV. That's about it. And I'll go out to shows, and hang out with my friends, but otherwise I'm in my jammies.
Well, since I've worked with you, your work within the industry has been so technical, with so much attention to small details, textures, and color, which has always been so impressive. But with your personal work, I've noticed that you keep to broader shapes and brighter colors, and your work has so many themes and dreams and positivity, if not sometimes amusing parody to the shitty things in life. How do you keep your professional work senses separate from your personal creativity, or do you ever feel like they coincide?
To be honest, when I first got into the industry, I didn't know how to separate them both. And that's where my burnout came from. And I think over the years, with practice and balance, I've been able to sort of divide my brain in a way, if that makes sense.
It does, and you literally blew my mind because I think that's my problem. Like, I've been
Real
suffering burnout for a while and I haven't understood it, but that's exactly because my when I like do animations and boards and stuff, I'm still doing it professionally, and I always thought that was like a good thing, but
I mean,
holy
it is a
shit.
really good thing. What you're doing is amazing. But yeah, I don't know, you gotta find this line. And it took me a while to find it, to be honest. But when I found it, it's made things like a lot easier and better. Like, things just kind of roll off my back a little bit easier. I sleep a little bit more. It's great. But it's like a mental divide. It does help though. I found so right now, like you can see in my art studio here, but since we started working from home remotely, this has become my work studio. So now I take like my personal stuff outside of this room and into the living room, and I set up a table out there. And that's where I've been doing like my own paintings and things separate from work.
Oh, uh-huh.
So I found having that physical separation was good for me, at least, to sort of like mentally divide. And then also just working from home kind of helped.
Mm.
It was kind of weird. It was like over that quarantine when I figured that separation out a little bit better for myself.
Oh, wow.
And it's worked. So when I go into work, I'm like, this is a job. I'm going to do a good job. It's going to be great. But I'm not going to stress out too much if it doesn't go the way I want it to go. And you have to like keep reminding yourself that. And it goes up like there are still times where you're working and you get mad because you
Yeah.
worked on something and then it's just not working out and
Mhm.
it's out of your control and you have to redo it. That happens. But you don't take it with you outside of this. Like it's
Yeah.
separate from your personal work. Whereas like earlier on, I like put everything into it, like this is my identity. I am an
Mm.
animator. And then I
Mhm.
produced a lot less personal stuff. Just not as much, not with the same vigor.
Yeah. Yeah, that was has been actually I just talked to someone today about that where I'm like I just want to find that passion again. Like I think I've mentioned it with a couple people on the podcast. This has been one of my, or maybe it was just like to friends in general, but this has been my new creative outlet where I'm just like I need something that's not drawing, like something about drawing is just not clicking right now. So to hear that kind of like separation of the work side or even like the work brain and then your own creative brain. It's just funny that this topic I mean, but I wrote the question, so I don't know why I'm like surprised. but um but it's just funny to be like I literally was telling somebody how I want to find my passion for drawing again. And you basically really just gave me such an amazing answer. I'm like, oh my God, I can't
I'm
wait
glad.
to implement this.
I'm happy if it helps.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But this is a great idea for a creative outlet. Like sometimes you need to just do something different, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that kind of helps too because it breaks that pattern of for work that's in your brain, and by doing something different, you can sort of make that connection again.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and I do hope that you find that joy of drawing. I mean, I know what it's like to just not do it for a while. It sucks. It's weird,
Yeah. It's weird.
especially after college when you're doing it all the time.
Yeah. I also wanted to like bring up how you talked about work from home, especially during the beginning of the pandemic, and how it's like we needed to have a separate space. Like you have an office, right?
It's an extra bedroom that I took
Okay.
over.
So during the pandemic, when it started, I was like, my workspace was always in my room, but that was for like, not work. And then once the pandemic started and I was like working in my bedroom all the time, I literally went crazy. It
I
was
believe it.
insane. Yeah.
If you're stuck in one space and you can't have that separation, it can be pretty overwhelming.
Mhm.
Like, especially, there kind of reminds me, just relating to myself a little bit. When I did used to have my art studio in my room, in my same room. And that feeling of going to bed at night, looking at this painting that I knew I was never going to finish,
Oh my
gave me like so much anxiety. She's just sitting in the basement with one eye. She's a really creepy.
It
And
sounds
then
like a horror movie.
it was there was a weird bathtub next to my bed too, and if I turned on the jets, it like shot onto my bed. It was a weird place.
Oh my
But after the horror of that experience, I moved out to my first apartment by myself, and the living room became my art studio.
the jet next to the bed.
I thought I was going to have a relaxing bath that night, but no, it turned into a whole chore.
Oh my gosh. What a time. Where do you derive your creative inspirations from in your personal work?
So that changes a lot.
Mm.
But when I usually try to like come up with a concept when I do like a body of work now. And
Mhm.
I pull inspiration by whatever seems interesting to me at the moment. So for this last show, I was really into super bright colors and like geometric shapes and like putting these things together.
Mhm.
And the rabbit actually came later. So I did all the scenes. And then I was like, it feels so lonely inside of these places. I need something to fill it. And I took inspiration actually from one of my favorite childhood movies, Watership Down. And there's like this black rabbit of inlay. He's kind of like the Grim Reaper rabbit. So he's bouncing
Ooh.
through all of my paintings that are really, really influenced from my youth. Like the colors, the shapes, everything is very drawing from like being a 90s child, early 2000s child. So it's kind of like life is super beautiful and there's just this presence. He's not really bad. He's not really good. He's just kind of there hanging out.
Mm.
So it developed like I didn't really know what I was doing when I started. I was just like, all right, let me play with this idea and see where it goes. And then now I'm working on a new series for a show next year. And for this one, I'm going back to an idea from 2004 and just revisiting it because I just didn't have the ability to make this idea come to life, but now I do. So,
Ooh.
like, I'm just at a point where I'm like, oh, I can make this happen visually.
Do you mind telling me what idea that was or like what the concept is at least?
It's very modular. So, it's like a
Mm.
modular design with painting. And it was like my second oil painting I did in class.
Mhm.
And I was like, I need to revisit this someday and just never did, completely forgot about it. But, like, one of the things when you're doing like gallery shows that no one really tells you, you really have to budget it so that you don't spend more than what's possible to make out. And it's really easy as artists to just not really know how much you spent making a painting.
Oh, yeah.
So, because you have to determine the gallery's rate and then how am I going to price this to cover cost? Can I profit off of it at all? And then
Mhm.
what does that profit looks like? What does it look like? So, is this going to be worth it? Am I going to be able to manage this? So, lots and lots of questions are going through this process right now, but I think I figured it out. We'll see. I'll announce it as it gets a little bit more developed. But right now, I'm just sort of figuring out the layouts. And like with the Rabbit edition, something could change in the next few
Mhm.
months to
Yeah.
make it a little different.
Speaking of the rabbit, like let's talk about your coloring book, Dreamscapes.
Yeah, I actually have the proof right here.
Oh,
This
that's
is
so
like
cool.
Amazon. And then I just made these little designs.
How many pages or like how many illustrations are there?
45 full page illustrations.
Oh, nice.
But that doesn't include like the borders and things like that.
Was it easy to get your book done through Amazon?
Yeah, you just have to follow their sort of like guidelines for the template, and then you just answer a bunch of questions and upload your files. So if you know how to put something together on your own, then you just do it on, like I used InDesign to lay out everything and Illustrator to illustrate. So I just had to make sure it was the right dimensions and everything was laid out correctly, and then upload my PDF to Amazon. I'm excited about it though. I already gave a copy to my niece and she's been filling it up. So I think she likes it and I'm pretty happy with it. I always wanted to do one. So this was just a chance to sort of figure it out.
Where did you come up with the idea to even make this though? I mean, you already said that you have always wanted to, but then what made you finally be like, you know what, I'm gonna pull the trigger, I'm just gonna do this?
So I wanted to get it done by the last art show I did, because when I was designing each painting, I started in Illustrator in this way. I just didn't have time to do it. And it was really what time that was kind of holding me back from it, just to figure out all the like ins and outs. So just after seeing what I've done, I was like, yeah, this could be a coloring book. If I have time, I'll do it. And then I had time, so I did it. But I did do a page in a local Atlanta coloring book about like 4 years ago. That was originally when I was like, oh, I should do a coloring.
Wait,
Then,
like you made one for Georgia?
It was a page in like a Georgia publication.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was called Color ATL, and they asked like 50 local artists to contribute a page. So it was fun, and I saw that and I was like, oh, this is cool.
Is it all, because I recognize some of them from the illustrations you've done, but did you have to make like 40 more different ones?
Yeah,
or
I made like about 20 new ones.
Oh my gosh.
So I had 20 originals that I just had to clean up from the art show. And then I had like some half-baked ideas.
I didn't even know you did 20 at the art show.
Yeah, I did 20 paintings.
Oh, that's awesome.
I started in January and just did it in the evenings. So I get off whatever I was working on and then go paint until midnight and then go to bed and then wake up. It was a lot. It was really, really hard at the very end of the month. So I didn't get to complete all the paintings I wanted to. You can't see it, but I still have like 4 paintings back here that didn't make it. But I was like, all right, I did enough. It's fine. And then all these designs made it into the coloring book. And then I made a few more because I got the first proof of it and it just felt so thin. And I was like, I should make more.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed figuring it out.
Or
maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll make one out of this next concept or something else. Who knows? We'll see how it does.
That'd be pretty cool. Ooh, sorry, I keep talking over you.
No,
but that would be pretty cool if like after each gallery concept, you end up making a coloring book out of each of them. Obviously, if it's like not too much of a hassle, but.
Well, now I know what it takes to make a coloring book, so I can just sort of plan ahead of time. Like I can sort of fit it into a streamline a little bit better. Yeah. But you got to do everything once. You do it once, you figure it out, then you kind of get better at it, tweak it.
When you share your work like this or any of the art you saw on your website or in your in the gallery, does it ever feel overwhelming or any kind of vulnerability when you share these kind of pieces?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. I mean, you're an artist. You're just, no one asked you to make this. You know, you're just putting it out there. That's vulnerable. You always feel those like butterflies. You can't let it get you down. Like if things don't go the way you want or the way you planned, you just kind of have to roll with it. Because sometimes I've made stuff and I'm look back on it and I'm like, oh, yeah, that didn't. So pretend that one never existed.
Is there anything recently or in the past couple years that you would say has been inspiring lately or that has got you feeling passionate and invigorated about life?
I mean, I guess it's just, we all have an ability to create, right? And make something positive and change the world in some way. And that always keeps me going. You know, just make something, do it. I mean, it's almost like you can't stop. It just keeps going, right?
Yeah.
Everything just keeps going. So you can't really stop whatever it is you're doing. You just kind of keep rolling with it and just focus on making cool stuff, making things better in your own way. Um, I do get excited about new challenges and new adventures, like, like this. Or one of the reasons I have this speaker is because I had to make a video. So, like, that was like, cool, all right, well, let me do a tutorial video and figure this out. But there is always something like out there to look up, like forward to, like the next thing, the next trail, like hope. I don't know. This is getting existential, Sam.
No, I love it. I love existential stuff.
Do you?
I do.
That was a hard question.
Well, enough existential things. Let's get into the random animal fact.
Oh God. So I read this the other day. It's like a new thing about cats. Apparently, cats bond with their owners and caretakers the same way children do.
Oh.
There was a scientific study that they just did. So, like, at the same percentage.
So is it that, are they trying to parent us? Or are we the parents?
It's a good question. I didn't ask that one. They made it seem like they bond with you the same way your children do.
Okay. Yeah.
Are they caretakers?
Yeah. So we're the caretakers and they're our children. And they're like,
that's what the article implies. But the article could totally be wrong. Could be the other way around.
I like it where, I mean, we just saw our children, we call children. They were like jumping up for our attention and being like, your cats were like, I need to be with mom. So that makes sense. They want to be children. And they want to just be like, we're just child, even though they're grown ass adults.
I'm trying to teach mine puzzles right now. It's really hard for them. Like these little like treat puzzles that they have to figure it out to get the treat.
Oh, yeah.
I gave it to them on advanced for the first time and they couldn't do it. They gave up immediately. So I put it on easy and I think they're just mastering easy. So now I'm starting to make it like slightly more difficult. Mm-hmm. I wanted my children to be advanced children though.
What is the what are the tricks, or like what is the puzzle that they're trying to figure? Because okay, I have one that but I did this thing that my mom also did with her dog, which is like we showed them what to do, we try to like show them beforehand to be like, which of course then they're like, oh, just do that all the time. But it's like a sliding treat thing. What kind
this
of
one is
like
too.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's a leaf shape and it's got all these little holes around the edge and they have to slide the thing over to get the treat. And then it has a third option, like the advanced option, where you swing a leaf. So now they have to slide the thing and swing a leaf over.
Whoa.
It's hard. It's advanced. Right now we are on, I had the treats in the open, just open in those little ends so they know where they are. And they figured that out. So now I'm like putting the red slider over it to see if they'll figure it out. And one of them did tonight. I was really proud of her.
Oh, getting advanced, becoming advanced.
I saw one of my friends, I went over to her friend's house and she had her cats doing all these tricks. And I was like, my cats are bored. They need that. So I had to get one.
Oh my gosh. Would you ever do the buttons?
I don't know. I see those videos all the time and they're really fun to watch, but I don't know if I want to know what they have to say. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I haven't done them yet. I don't even know where to get them. Are they on Amazon?
Yeah, maybe? I don't know. I'm sure Amazon has everything. So
I'm gonna have my coloring book.
Get cat buttons and the coloring book and you're set.
There you go.
Have you ever done like pet psychic type stuff?
Have you?
I tried one time.
What happened?
Well, and one day I do want to hire a pet psychic just to see, but I was like trying to be cheap and I was like, let me look up how to do it. And they give you like little training things. But what happened was instead of reading Arthur's mind, he like, I know this is gonna sound really crazy, but it was this really weird thing where it felt like he was able to read my mind rather than like me being able to read his, and I could never as long as the connection was open, it felt weird. And I was like, I can't cut the connection off willy-nilly. Like, I can't just like turn it off and on. Like, I wasn't skilled enough yet. And so what ended up happening was he ended up like, it was a really fucking weird couple days. He mind bended me. He like gave me hallucinations where I thought he was like in my peripheral, because sometimes we'll play around, right? Like, he likes to chase, he likes to hunt. And so I would be like playing with him, and then I would see something in the corner of my eye coming out from me from one side. So I duck, and then but I'm looking over there, and then all of a sudden he came up from behind me and would attack me from above. And I was like, and he did that a couple times. And after those couple times, I was like, okay, this is too weird and scary. So I like cut the psychic connection, and I haven't like opened it up since. But
Never? Wow. I mean, that's crazy. I love it. I don't know,
but
like,
I've heard like how people, there's psychics that can just look at the photo and then they can tell you like what they're thinking, and what imagery that's coming to their head and stuff.
My last cat, Mew Mew, we were connected. She was like my little daemon in the Golden Compass series. My little second, my Pole Ultra. She was cool, but I always knew what she wanted. But it was like I had her since I was a kid. Since she was a kid, since I was a kid, since she was a kitten, I had her. So we knew each other's like language in a way. It wasn't like talking to each other, but I could tell what she needed or what she wanted.
Yeah.
And she understood like my body language.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a girl in college come over and do Reiki on her once.
Oh, nice.
She didn't come over specifically to do Reiki on my cat. She came over and wanted to do Reiki on my cat. We were working on a project. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
What's going on? So you did get Reiki.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a whole I mean, there's even acupuncture for animals now. And
have you done that for yourself yet? I've done it.
Oh, acupuncture. Yeah, I'm so sad because being acupuncture is not cheap. It's but the person I was going to was so awesome. It actually got rid of my tendonitis. And now my tendonitis is coming back, and I'm just like, I'm so mad. I'm almost like, do I need to schedule one session with her, because it's just yeah, well, but then I need to just stretch and like exercise more. But the fact that it was gone for 6 months or so was a miracle almost, and like it was so beautiful.
I have a similar story.
Would you still see an acu?
I've only seen one like twice ever.
Oh.
So I started to get like carpal tunnel at one point, and he helped me with that. After trying everything, massage, chiropractor, he fixed it in like one session. And I went back to him, I guess like half a year ago. I was having like the same symptoms were coming up where I was twitching right here. And he's like, all right, fixed it.
Damn.
It's nice.
It is nice. Oh my gosh.
I like it because I don't have to keep going back. I'm like one and done. I can go home. I don't know if any of it's... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Tell me.
No, I just keep talking over you.
No, I keep butting in. I keep being like, let me tell you my side of the story. But all I was gonna, I mean, my person, it wasn't one and done. It was like more lengthy, but I've always known my body's been a bit fucked up. Like, I just have really bad shoulders in terms of like, I have super bad knots. It's been something where like, when I tried to get it done through massage, the person I saw, it's that thing where like, oh, your body gets worse before it gets better. And I didn't want to go through the massage process of having it get worse. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay in this state and, tolerate it. So then when I finally like committed to going to this acupuncturist, it took, I think like 6 weeks or so of,
wow.
Yeah. Well, and that was like once a week going there, and for it to finally be like, oh, and it's finally gone, and like my shoulders are now not cement. It's like,
That's one of those things when you're working at a computer hunched over, a drawing table all day. It gets you right there.
oh no. But it was like your guy was able to do it in one session though.
This one session. The first time I went, it was 2 sessions, but he kind of made me realize what I was doing physically to cause it. And then I was able to self-correct after the session.
Nice.
Because he's like, I don't want you to have to come back. I don't want to see you again till you're 50. He's like, and he's busy. Like, he's always busy. So I was like, all right. So he kind of made me realize what I was doing and how to correct it. Almost like a physical therapist in a way. And the second time around, it was actually probably around like August. I was like twitching really, really bad, and the pain was going all the way up here. It was really bad. So I was like, all right, I need to go. Just once.
Yeah.
I know what's causing it, but it worked.
That's great.
I would go back again for sure. Just don't want to have to. But like I was saying, you gotta stretch, get out. Is your back still feeling better?
Yeah, I mean, my back does. There's certain stretches that I do. Well, so here's another thing. I drive a lot. Like, I go to my parents back and forth a lot.
That's a long
My
way.
hips also. I mean, it's all connected, right? So, like, I'm like, oh, my hips and my arms and my shoulders and my back. But like you said, I just need to stretch more. Everybody's just gonna hear how much my body hurts all the time. And like,
Tired
don't
and
get
thriving.
tired and thriving. I love it. Okay, so I love how we went from animal fact to full on like body.
Body facts. Maybe we should get Reiki. Maybe have that friend back over. I've never done Reiki to myself. I don't know what it is really. No, I haven't. No, I have no idea what it is. I just hear about it, and then I saw it get done to my cat.
Ooh.
She seemed to be like cool.
I had a Reiki priestess. Okay, so this is different kind of Reiki, but I had a Reiki priestess like do some Reiki ceremony on me, and that was crazy because it wasn't like a physical aspect per se, but it was this it was really crazy because like I was just like, things feel not good in my life right now, back in like 2018. And then my friend and I went to New Orleans for New Year's and went to this Reiki priestess, and it was like this combination deal of like read your tarot plus give her an object that she can read. Those don't matter. What mattered was that she was able to read auras, and she was just like, oh, your aura is so crazy. And she also was like, oh, your alignment, like your chakras were like out of line. And then she had me go home and do this like little ceremony each night for a week. And I had to keep like sending her photos of my like head to be like, oh, is it gone? And by the time it was like, by the time I finished the the daily ritual, and she was like, oh yeah, your aura is better now. Literally, like that week things started to turn better in my personal life, and I was just like, what the like, it was so
whoa. That's cool that you were able to like have her check in on you. It wasn't just like, dude, your stuff's crazy, bye. She was like, you were able to like go back and be like, what color am I now?
Yeah. And it was one of those things too where kind of bringing it back to how things like paths in life just like happen, because then I tried to reach out to her to be like, I thought I needed more help, and I was like, oh, can I get more help? And she never responded back to me, so I was like, oh, I guess this was just like I needed her help for this one thing, and now it's done.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah,
maybe that's what it is. I mean, and again, you're right, like life just happens. Like you don't know where you're gonna go, who you're gonna meet, and where it's gonna take you. But that's really cool. Now, hold on. You said you went to New Orleans at New Year's.
Yes.
How fun was that?
Oh my gosh. It was a story.
I know. I've done it.
Actually,
It
like
always
my friend and I are pretty chill, so we didn't get too wild. And on New Year's, we we actually were like, because we had been walking so much throughout the day, we were just like, can we please find somewhere where we can sit? And the crazy part was like we ended up at this cabaret, and okay, no, wait. I'm like, I have to go back because it was we ended up at this Airbnb. Like, we stayed at two Airbnbs. Like, one we really liked, but they didn't have reservations through New Year's, so it was kind of like we found a second place. Advertisement looked really nice. It was like, ooh, like a fairy kind of, bohemian look, and it was awesome. And then as we were driving up to the house, we get a text from the owner who's like, would you like to come to our cabaret for New Year's? And of course, you have to pay a fee and everything. And we were just like, you know what? Let's do it. So it's so funny. We buy the tickets before we get to the house or get to the Airbnb. And then we get to the Airbnb and it's awful. Like, just not it was kind of scary, where it just like, there was a door for one of the bedrooms that had like 9 locks on it from the outside and not the inside. And it didn't, like, they might have cleaned the sheets, but they never cleaned the blankets, so the smell on the beds were like it smelled like BO. And then it was a whole thing. It was so we were like, did we just make a mistake for this cabaret? Like, is it gonna be gross? Is it gonna be, you just assume the worst because you're staying in such a, like, not well taken care of place. And then the cabaret ended up being the best thing ever.
I'm glad you got that. I'm glad that's the end of it. 'Cause I've gotten those Airbnbs. They suck. Like, you took a gamble.
You took
Earned
a
it.
gamble. And I got, like, the reviews were all so nice, but here was the thing. It was like, I went off of the reviews and how many stars it had, but what I should have gone off of is the, like, actual cleanliness of the place.
Oh,
Because I looked back on it later and then I realized that the cleanliness bar wasn't very high. And it was just like, oh, yeah. People were being very nice and courteous, and, we're trying not to make too much of a stink about somebody's house. But yeah, it's like, it wasn't safe because
yeah.
also you're getting splinters from the floorboards, like, type of thing. It was, yeah. You're like, this isn't.
It's happened. I've had to be like, okay, well, I'm here, I guess, for the
Yeah.
night.
Very fun.
Because it's crazy down there during New Year's. It's insane. It's a lot of
And
people.
so we got
It's
to
almost
sit
like,
the whole time. We got to sit, and that was beautiful. And then once midnight hit, and then you get to stand up and be like, okay, I can stand. I can,
did you get some
like,
beignets?
oh, we went to all the beignet places. We went to Cafe Du Monde. We went to, there was a cafe place in the park. I feel like there was one more place, but then we went to Loretta's. And we were like, oh, Loretta's is the best one that we liked. Do you have a preference for beignets?
I like Morning Call or Cafe Du Monde. Those are the two I like. If I don't look like I came out of a cocaine room and there was a fight, then
Yeah.
it's not good. Like, like when I go to Cafe Du Monde, it's just like a waterfall of white down
I
the
really
front.
think you have to try Loretta's, though. It's in the French Market. So next time you're in New Orleans,
I walked by
Loretta's.
it. I know what you're talking about. I was just
Yeah.
there for a family gathering, and I walked by that. That one's new-ish. It used to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Morning Call, you can only get, I think, up in Metairie, which is a suburb that's just north. They used to have a location at one point downtown, but not anymore. But they're really, really good. It's just like Cafe Du Monde. It's just a little bit more low-key. I love New Orleans. It's so much fun.
It's all about the food for me.
It is.
Yeah.
You just go and you eat.
Yeah.
Beignets,
Oh, and
shrimp
the
creole.
Sazerac bar at the
Oh,
Roosevelt. Yeah,
yeah.
that one was really cool.
I just try to get beignets once a day, which, it's a lot, but I do it.
You
And
did it.
then fried shrimp po' boys and shrimp creole, some gumbo.
Hmm.
I mean, everything's there. There's this cool, like, dive burger bar off to the side called Portugal. That's really fun, too. You order a drink called a monsoon, and it's in a cup like this tall, huge.
Oh my gosh.
And you just take like 5 sips out of it, and you're like, uh-oh.
Like the monsoon's hitting.
Yeah, that was quick. It's fun, though. I love it. I had a good
Yeah.
time this last time. I'm glad you got to do New Year's, though.
Yeah. Although I'm so glad we didn't go to the square where they
Mm.
dropped the was that fleur de lis?
Yeah.
Because
It,
it's so funny because we were going to, and then we were like, we don't want to stand, and we booked the cabaret. But then we saw a video on Reddit, and it was like the news coverage being like, oh, look at all the people in the front row, and there were 2 people having sex in the video.
oh, that's nice. You want to hear a fun fact about that? Not the sex, but where they dropped the fleur de lis.
Yeah.
They used to drop a baby. It was not a fleur de lis. They always dropped the baby at New Year's.
Oh my gosh. Why did they get rid of the baby?
I know.
So funny. Oh, jeez.
New Orleans is another place. It's on another
It
planet.
really is. The way it was founded and the way it is now, you're like, that's completely it connects. It's just a really weird, like, has crazy energy.
It does. Yes, that's a good way of describing it. It just has this crazy energy.
Yeah.
It's like literally, maybe it's one of those places on the planet where the portal between the worlds is so thin.
Mm-hmm.
Who
Oh, you
knows?
feel it. I had to be protected while I was there because I
Yeah.
got like haunted in Vegas. So I
No,
had to like carry crystals and protect myself in New Orleans because I was
A
like,
Vegas ghost sounds terrifying.
it wasn't too bad. Like they just followed me home
Mm.
and haunted my dreams for a bit, but as ghosts do.
So
um
I like to collect rocks whenever I travel. My souvenir is always a piece of the ground. Except certain places that I know there's superstition. I don't take it from there.
oh yeah.
But I'm always afraid that I don't know what's superstitious and what's not superstitious, and I might accidentally take a ghost home with me. So I have left rocks. I picked up this one big rock once. It was really cool. And I ended up leaving it in the drawer of a hotel, like, dresser.
Damn.
I couldn't take it with me. It was just like,
When you feel
you're
it
here
though.
now.
Yeah. If
Oh,
you
so you
feel
can
the
stay.
energy that's like saying no.
I'm always worried. I'm like, am I going to accidentally do it? Am I going to take a ghost with me? Or some sort of spirits can be really upset.
Yeah, and they're gonna be like, take me back. And you have to travel all the way back to like set it back.
Maybe that's a good strategy. I don't know.
Well, there's like gotta be a way to break it. Um, okay, so let's get into the tarot part since we've been talking about all the spiritual stuff.
Okay.
So, as part of the show, I'd like to pull out a tarot card for the episode because who knows? Maybe you need to hear it today. So I'm using my Universal Fantasy Tarot deck, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna shuffle it, and I can shuffle it as long or as short as you want. You just tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. Ooh, you got the World card, which is number what, 21. Do you want to explain it, like what you're seeing?
There's a guy in the sky. It looks like he's kind of dancing over some buildings, and he's got a lot of cloth around him. And there's some yellow coming out of his head. Or are those snakes? Is it cloth or snakes?
No, it's cloth,
Okay.
and the yellow's the hair.
The yellow is the hair. Okay.
How does that card make you feel?
Nervous.
Nervous? Well, the World is the last card in the Major Arcana, But material wealth can never compensate for the lack of inner peace. The world will be ours only if we are the masters of our own soul. So, what do you take of that?
Sounds like I need to master my soul. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. The biggest thing is when they talk about material wealth, you know, it's like obviously doing things not for money, but for your own inner benefit, inner self. So
material wealth, you say, is like your actions, not like external wealth, materialistic?
I mean, material wealth is, yeah, like money or clothing or, luxury type things.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. As long as like, but it can apply to what you're doing. So like, if you're creatively doing something, trying to get like material wealth, or instead of, but having that as a goal instead of thinking like getting peace from this. So I think it's more of like not a warning, but like maybe a reframing or just a reminder
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
like,
get it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
thinking about the next show coming up, like trying to figure out budget and profit and stuff. Some of that probably just needs to be let go.
Yeah.
Because that's not really why I'm doing it.
It's for your own fulfillment. So, damn cards. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kat, for being here and talking with me. Where can people find you and follow your work, buy the book, and hear the latest updates?
All right, so the book is going to be available on Amazon. I'll be announcing it on my Instagram, which is at Kat Stockton, and on my Facebook page, which is also at Kat Stockton. You can find out more, see some of my work at katstockton.com. It's all Kat Stockton.
Love it.
Yeah, I got it. I snagged them. So that's where you can get me and see my work and reach out and say hey.
Awesome. Well, sadly, we are at the end. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy this podcast, please follow and subscribe. If you're feeling especially generous, consider donating to Spotify listener support. You can also follow Tired and Thriving on Instagram at Tired and Thriving, all one word. You can email if you want to reach out, give feedback, or let me know maybe how you've been uniquely thriving at tiredandthriving@gmail.com. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a thriving week. See you next time.